All right. I hope you can see me. All right. Right now, I don't see anything from your side, but I expect this is working. Otherwise, tell me. So yeah, I'm very glad to join you, albeit virtually. I didn't make it all the way, but we have an important event here tonight. We have an office warming party, and I couldn't escape from that because yeah, that would be a bit odd if I were not here. Without further ado, let me jump into the presentation. Today, I'm first going to give you a quick introduction to Iversity. You know, who are we? How does the model work? Then I'm going to talk a bit about didactics, because I think it's really important to explain once again what distinguishes what we do from traditional e-learning, and then there'll be a quick wrap up. So Iversity, we're the first European MOOC platform. We launched in 2013. We at this point have more than 1 million enrollments across our courses. We have over 100 institutional partners that are universities, but also non-university institutions. And wait a sec, I just see that you can't see the bottom of the slide because the Google Hangout thing is there. Let me fix this for you. All right. Yeah, and we have a range of corporate customers. We're going to talk about that in a second. Just to give you a top-level perspective on what we do, it's a three-step process that we're involved in. On the one hand, we have institutions that we work with, and those are our academic partners, such as the universities that you saw on the previous slides, but also corporate partners. So after we launched the platform in partner with dozens of universities, we started to work with companies such as KPMG to produce courses. We're also currently looking into producing courses under our own label. So that's where we would work with individual experts. So that's how we produce our courses, the first step, development. So typically we work with someone that has a lot of expertise in a given area, but lacks the knowledge of how to make a good online course. And of course, having worked with hundreds of partners, we've really learned a lot about what makes a good online course. The second step is delivery. So bringing those courses online. So we've built our platform from scratch in close collaboration with the university partners, but also with the end users. And that's the second capability that we bring to the table. The third part is distribution. That, as I said, we have over 800,000 users, over 1 million course enrollments. So there are a lot of people that we can reach through our platform. And then also, since last year, we've started selling our courses B2B. So we've built a business development team that actively approaches large corporates to buy these courses. Okay, so that's for the basic model. I think that will seem familiar, but I just want to reiterate how this works. So of course, we don't have all the experts in-house, but we do three things. We help them to develop good courses. So we do the instructional design, the didactics. They do the content part. Where you really need the subject matter expertise. We help them to deliver these courses, and we distribute them B2B. So talk about didactics. The key message that I want to send here is that we really have to move beyond what is known under the term of e-learning, because for the most part, e-learning, if you look at the left-hand side of this slide, is very much about giving access to a library of content. If you think about these old web-based trainings, they are essentially multimedia textbooks. They give you access to a lot of information and knowledge, but at the end of it, you might know more, but you don't necessarily know how to do something better. Yeah, so we understand, in comparison, learning as an active social process. So if you look at the left-hand side of the screen here, there's a quote, and you may not be able to read that very well, given this is Skype. So I'll read it for you. It's a quote by David A. Wiley. He's an education thought leader in the US, and he says, "If high-quality, reusable content were all that were required to support learning, libraries would never have evolved into universities. That is to say, interaction with other human beings always has been and always will be an integral part of the learning process. This is especially true when learning higher order skills. So this is really what lies at the heart of our understanding of a good online course, is that it's an active social process. What this means is that we have to have three elements in a good course. Content is the starting point. So, what you think of a web-based training, that's what it provides. It provides content and a few multiple choice questions. The next element is context. So you need to apply what you've learned in a different context. So think about, doing case studies, for example. That's where you apply your knowledge in different contexts. And the third element is community. That is that you come together with others and negotiate truth, where you discuss and engage with material in depth. And at the intersection of these three elements, content, context, community, there are the very elements of what university studies are made up of today. Self-study, i.e. working with a textbook, lies at the intersection of content and context. The tutorial section, as you say in the US sometimes, lies at the intersection of context and community. And the classroom, the seminar, is where you come together with others to discuss content. So that's at the intersection of content and community. And a good online course has to comprise all three of these elements. It's really important. So we don't just have content, but we have active social learning, and active is the context part, applying your knowledge when working on assignments, and community is the social part. Let me just take a step back. Let me give you one example to make this a little easier to understand what we mean here. If you think of a typical web-based training in a leadership course, say, and that's something where people often say, oh yeah, you can't teach leadership online. That's, of course, you need human interaction. In a web-based training, what you'd have is you'd have a video, content where it says, okay, this is how you have to give feedback, for example. And then you see a scene of two people fighting with each other and fussing in the hallway, and then it stops and it gives you a multiple choice question. What do you do now? And it's just like, okay, you have three options. You go there and you walk around, you turn around and you walk away. Or you go there and you yell at them as well. Or the third option is you go there and you have a reasonable conversation to resolve the situation. Then of course that you have to tick the third option, but what does it mean to have a reasonable conversation? The way we imagine this is to move from multiple choice to infinite choice. So let's look at the same example. If you have, that's the top left, the one that's labeled number 1 here, the top left rectangle, where it says you have a video where two people argue with each other in the hallway. But then you don't get the multiple choice question, but step 2 is, your webcam comes on and you're being asked, okay, formulate an original response. How exactly would you respond to that situation? What would you say and how would you say it? So you record a video comment how you react to that situation. Then these kind of comments are aggregated into a stream where you can see all the responses by other students, and then you can like them, and you can also, and that's the 4th step, go in and comment on them and say, look, the way you phrased this, after a half a minute there you really got to me, or that really put me off. So there you can go much more into depth. And of course, here you have these 3 elements: content, context, community. So first, you have some content that you watched to give you sort of a theoretical grounding, and then you have an example. But then you need to apply your knowledge very actively, and you exchange with others about your solution, but also their solution, to go more in depth. We call that grayscale learning, because it's about wait a sec. Okay. Yeah. Because it's about the shades of gray. It's not about black or white, yes or no. It's about the shades of gray in between, and that's oftentimes what is the most important part in university learning, but also in professional education. Because again, if you remember the quote I read, if libraries were all that were needed for learning, the textbook wouldn't have evolved into the university. Then people could just learn by themselves, but you need to engage with others and share knowledge and engage with different points of view. So in summary, what we do here is, what differentiates this kind of learning is that we say, okay, there's traditional e-learning, and that basically gets you to the first two steps of Bloom's taxonomy. So there's knowledge and understanding. You know enough about the topic and understand enough of it to be able to answer a few questions about it. But only if you apply your knowledge in different contexts, you analyze other people's work, you evaluate it, you pass judgment on it, and you create your own artifacts. And that could be a drawing, a PowerPoint presentation, it could be an essay, it could be an Excel model. Only then do you, take the knowledge you've gained and by creating something original, practice and get a deeper understanding of it. And that's what we think is sort of the new normal of online learning: active social learning with your peers and on assignments to really grasp the core of what you're trying to understand. To just and to summarize where we see ourselves with this approach in the learning market, I have one last slide for you, and that shows how we position ourselves effectively. We want to be, in terms of quality, competitive and comparable to the best of on-site training. So the kind of approach that I explained, is suitable for all sorts of subjects, and also enables you to teach things online where people have traditionally been skeptical on whether you can teach it online. And on the other hand, we want to be as scalable as traditional e-learning, as traditional web-based trainings, where you could have an almost infinite number of participants. Our largest course had 96,000 people, so it is possible to really scale this kind of instruction. So we want to provide an effective online learning experience, but at a reasonable price point. If you want to learn more about this, this is the book that was mentioned earlier when you quickly read my bio, The University of the 21st Century. The English version has just came out a month ago with Central European University Press. And yeah, I'd be glad if I got to hear from one or the other of you. If you want to get in touch, not sure you can read this. This is h.kloepper@iversity.org, but I'm sure they can distribute my contact information.